Hello and welcome to United for Good. I'm Margaret O'Neill with the United Way of Central West Virginia. As always, we're so grateful to be here, and our thanks to the Library Television Network for allowing us to be part of their programming. We hope you're having a great summer. We do have wonderful guests with us today. Just before we meet them, I want to share a couple of things we have coming up in the fall that I want to get on your calendar if you're watching us today. On September the 20th, we have our 18th annual Day of Caring. It's Central West Virginia, maybe all of West Virginia's largest one-day volunteer opportunity. Last year, over 900 volunteers, almost 70 projects across our 6-county footprint. We hope you would like to be a part of that day. You can be a project, you're a nonprofit, you're a school, you need some work done around your building, around your park, around your trail. That's a great project for us. And maybe you're a team, you're a company or an organization, or another nonprofit who really wants to do some team building, spend the day, give back to your community. The United Way has the day for you. So September the 20th, please reach out to us or go to our website as always, and you'll find information and details how to register your team or register your project. I promise that we work so hard to marry the projects and the teams together, that you have a great day, that you enjoy whatever it is you're going to do, if it's painting or trail work or virtual projects. This year we're going to be filling our school pantries, so we're going to be doing some virtual collection of feminine hygiene products, of hairbrushes and toothbrushes, and a lot of the things that our teachers are asked for every day when school starts. So look forward to that as we get ready and prepared for Day of Caring on September the 20th. And also in the fall, we start our brand new United Way campaign, and I have to say this one might be the most exciting for me in my career, our 23-24 fall campaign, where we go around and we talk to everybody that we can about the United Way, why we think we're a good option for charitable giving, how we give that money back out into the community, and how you can know as a donor that your dollar is going exactly where you want it to go, doing exactly the work you want it to do, and how transparent we are as a United Way. And if you have questions about that or how we do our work or spend our money, please reach out to us. Come and see us. We're at the corner of Court and Smith Street in downtown Charleston, and we'd love to talk to you and show you more. What I'm excited about, though, are the people that are going to be leading this campaign with us this year. So my pleasure to welcome today to our show Ray White and Paul White. I would say wonderful married couple, but equally so strong in your business and your community separately and together. And we're going to talk a little bit about you and your family and your business, but Paul and Ray are with Assured Partners West Virginia. I dare say that you insure a lot of us in a lot of different fields. But before we get too far down into United Way land, I'm going to start with Ray. But tell us a little bit about you and your family. I know you've been in Charleston for a long time, and how proud you are of your children. So share a little bit about that.
We're very much a family couple. We have been in Charleston a long time. We raised our children were raised here in Charleston. 3 who are now professionals in the city, and we're very proud of them. We're also very proud of the fact that we have 6 grandchildren.
Oh my gosh.
And I might say that our background goes very well with what you're trying to do with United Way, because we wanted our children to come home. We hoped that they would. But you have to hope you have a great place for them to grow and for them to prosper and for them to raise their children. And United Way helps that happen. And so when they were coming home, and as we see our kids getting bigger, I will say to you that probably one of the things that strikes me the most is not just the right now, but how it's going to be 10 years from now, 20 years from now in our city, so that those little ones can grow up into wonderful adults and be happy and safe and live in our little Charleston bubble and live in our area bubble. Then that is such a great place to raise a family.
I just said that today. You know, West Virginia is still just a wonderful place to be.
It is.
And I appreciate your bringing it up, because we say to people all the time, we believe wholeheartedly that community development leads to economic development, right?
Yes,
and as a community developer, if we make sure it's a great place to work and live and raise your children, that people will bring their business here and they'll come move here and work here and live here.
We agree.
Thank you so much for sharing that with
Yes.
us. Before we get to Paul, and I said this earlier before we started, I love the story you've told me about how you got involved, and sometimes voluntold is what gets us started when we're young in our
Right.
careers, and same thing happened to me. The lady I worked for at a radio station was like, you will be on the United Way committee, and I'm like, I don't even know what the United Way is. And so I think you had a similar experience when
Yeah.
you started your career.
Well, that's familiar to me, and it's familiar to him. Our agency was Commercial Insurance Services for many, many years, maybe 90 years prior to when we aligned ourselves with Assured Partners. It's the international insurance agency. But Frank Bear II was my mentor, and he very early on said, you have to go out in the community and serve and give back, because these people are all trusting us to take care of their insurance, and we want them to know you and for you to volunteer. And he was very serious about that. And as I grew in my position and eventually was the head of the company, I followed his lead and said to all of our executives to begin with, you all need to pick something to do and go back and give to. And now with all of our people, we've done that. And we have, one of the things that our agency does that I think is so great is we give them time off, paid time off, to do service work.
It's awesome.
And many of them love doing some of your projects.
Right.
And we've been very involved in these little drives that you have that are so nice. And the Day of Caring, they like to do that. But whatever their interests might be, we do, because it's hard to tell people to serve on their own time.
Right.
And not be invested in it. So we kind of believe that we should encourage by, showing them what we do, but also by letting them do it during work hours. And so that it started there. And then Paul has a similar story actually about how he got involved in.
And we definitely want to hear that. I would just say you created a culture, though. You created
believe
a
we
caring,
did. Yes.
giving volunteer culture around Assured Partners, and you're raising up your leadership
Yeah.
to do like you did your children,
Yes.
to do the same and participate in the
Right.
same way. And for people like us as a nonprofit who depends solely on, the individual donor dollar and commitment from the community to believe in what we do, we're so grateful that you've done that, and we pray that others will do the same.
If you want the community to give to you, don't we all feel that we need to give back?
That's right.
It's just the way of the world. It's the right way to do things.
Well, I have to say that when I came to Charleston, working on my 7th year now that I've been in Charleston, coming from the Southern West Virginia United Way, I could list on one hand the people I knew, or at least the names I recognized, and never was I so grateful when I saw Paul White's name on something, because I'm like, I'm not sure I know him, but I know his mother. And so, Paul, welcome to United for Good, and so grateful for the commitment that you all have made to the United Way. And tell us about your story.
Sure. Well, you know my mother because I grew up in Beckley, and that's where the United Way you came from prior to here. So we love having you here. We're glad that you're here in Charleston.
Love being here.
Yeah. So I grew up in Beckley, went to WVU, and then left the state to get into the insurance business. So I was out for a while before coming back. When I did come back in the mid-'90s, a similar story, I was told about the commitment to the community, and the United Way actually we were in the middle of the campaign that fall, my first summer at Commercial Insurance Services, and so I was dubbed the new campaign manager.
The newbies always get the tough job.
For the company, and I love to still hang my hat on the fact that first year we had 100% participation,
That's awesome.
and we won a little prize for it, and it was a badge of honor for not only myself but for the whole company, and we continued that for many, many years. And we're proud of that, and we've told that story. I then moved into the role of serving on the allocations committee, and then onto the board of directors, and eventually the chair of the board.
And now campaign chair. So can I just say that's full circle in
That's full
United Way
circle.
world? You've gone the full gamut now that you can go.
Well, obviously,
Unless you want my job, which could be
obviously,
next.
it's a labor of love for all of us, for both of us, and we truly believe in the cause. We believe that, and know, based on what specifically the allocations committee, and if anybody has the opportunity to and wants to serve on a community-based committee in this town, the allocations committee for the United Way is, in my opinion, the best one, because you learn how the money is distributed, who it's distributed to, and the fact that all of those dollars that you, the donor, give to the United Way is vetted, and the due diligence is done to make sure that those dollars are being allocated correctly, and that the outcomes that those agencies that receive the United Way dollars are doing right by those dollars. We have an all-volunteer committee that runs and operates that process. We have volunteer CPAs in the community that check and double check the financials of these organizations. And then, like I said, the outcomes are then looked at to make sure that what these organizations say they're going to do, they've done.
That's right.
And so it's just a great way to understand and feel comfortable with the fact that when we ask you for your money to give back to the community, that your dollars can go to a community fund that then is allocated to where the greatest needs are in our community.
And thank you so much for sharing that, because I think that's, probably one of the most often asked questions is, where's my money go and how do you decide, right?
Right.
And the good news to the whole world is that I don't. I don't decide. It's not our team. It's you all. It's the citizen, and that's why we call you that, right? Citizen reviewers. And
Yes.
it's the people that our donors most often have a dog in the fight, if you will, and that it's your donor dollar that you're investing. I can remember Lisa saying, pretend it's your checkbook, right? Pretend it's your
That's right.
checkbook and that you're writing that check, and that you want to feel comfortable that where you're writing that check is going to be doing the most work. I'll just remind our audience, we call them buckets sometimes, but the pillars that we stand on are health, education, financial stability, and the safety nets. Certainly since COVID, I would say the safety nets have been hit up extremely hard. Our shelters are under duress and full, and our friends at the Red Cross have had their hands full and have more fires this year than we've had in a long time, home fires, and certainly the Regal apartment fire in January was just tragic to so many involved. But our partners are fabulous. And I say this all the time. We are so blessed in Central West Virginia to have such a strong nonprofit community, right? I mean, we all
Yes.
get along. We all have our own autonomy, certainly, but we care about each other and we care about the work that each other is doing. And it's really a great place to be a part of a nonprofit community. And you've been doing that. How long, Paul, have you been involved with the United Way and community investment, et cetera?
Since 1995, so
That's a long time.
so 28 years.
That's awesome. And so for me, I can't think of a better testimony. I mean, that's amazing, right? Because you don't hang out with people for 28 years unless
Nope.
you have a little bit of value in what you're doing and the work of that organization. So for my 6 years, almost 7 years here, and for all the people before me, thank you. And we're so grateful for your time and your energy and your support.
Well,
thank
we
you.
thank you too, because anytime it gets a little stale over at the office where people are giving or they're having payroll deductions and they're, we pick up the phone and call you and say, hey, would you mind coming or sending somebody over, which I know you do for a lot of people, and just to have a meeting, just say, talk to me. Would you like to, do you have any questions? Would you like to know where the money goes? Would you like, and everybody gets all charged up again and they're back, wanting to give. And that is a wonderful thing that you do. It's a big help.
Thank you. And we offer that to any, if you just have questions. So we're introducing, so we'll kind of morph into a little bit of, how the campaign process and procedures work. Excuse me. We start really, full-blown August-ish as we are, inside the huddle in August and as our fundraiser, and then we go into Day of Caring and our presentations to workplace campaigns. And so if you're, again, listening today and you're like, we've never had a workplace campaign, what's that look like? It's pretty simple. We set up an appointment, we come and share as short amount of time as you need because we know everybody's busy, but we try to give just a short example of what we've been talking about today on how it works, where your money goes, how it's used to benefit the people in our community, and then you decide if you want to allow people to do a payroll deduction, which means it's taken out of their paycheck before they get it, basically, and
can be as little as $1.
$1, and
A dollar
still
a pay.
primarily what people do,
Yep.
and so that whole
Imagine
thing.
what we could do if everyone in the entire community gave $1 per pay to the United Way, then we were able to distribute that to the greatest need of the organizations that are needing those dollars. It would change our community for the better.
No question. And you and I've talked about this a dozen times, and you mentioned it again recently when we were together, but we find always that if a community doesn't have a strong United Way, they're trying to put one together, right? And you mentioned that recently, but there's a gap in a community if they don't have a strong United Way out
That's
there
right.
trying to build all the things that we talked about, right? And for us, the goal is always, how can we make people the most productive? Like, we want people to work, right? We want you to be able to have the tools
right.
and skills you need. And so is that a GED? Is that being able to put in literacy classes? And unfortunately, we talk to people every day who come in to try to fill out an application for something and are just really struggling with their reading and writing skills. And there's nothing, that's not a derogatory remark. It's just a come to the United Way and we'll help you, right? We
That's
have
right.
people there
It's
who
not
can
a
help
handout,
you.
it's a hand up.
Exactly. And so you've seen that over time, that we strive to look for programs that are going to strengthen people and their ability to go out and work and do the job that makes us a better community, just like you mentioned. Tell me about, and I'll go back to Paul and give you a minute to think about this, but tell me what's been your favorite part about the United Way over your 28 years?
Well, what I mentioned earlier, the allocation process, I think, just solidifies for me our willingness to dig deep into our pockets and give to the United Way, knowing that those organizations that the money eventually goes to they've been vetted, both financially and with the outcomes of what their mission is.
And sometimes we say no, right?
Absolutely. Or if they ask for a higher amount, sometimes, unfortunately, we don't necessarily have enough
That's
to
right.
spread around for all of the ask. So, and that's happened several times over the years. So there's more of a need than there is money.
Always.
So that's one of the reasons we wanted to get involved and see if we can increase the give and so that we can have more to be able to help people with. And like I said, it's a hand up, not a handout.
That's right.
And we're trying to get the working poor, to a place where they can sustain themselves.
Sure, it's our question, when people call, and I always try to mention 211, so this will be my plug for 211, but it's information and referral, so people can call that number from anywhere in West Virginia, really anywhere in the country, and you can ask those questions like, I don't think I'm going to have enough money to feed my kids at the end of the month. Where can I get some food? How can I sustain that over time? How can I get help with my utility bill? How can I find childcare, right? We have less women in the workforce right now than we have in forever and a day, Ray, and a lot of that is can't find childcare, can't afford the childcare, and then post-COVID really have struggled to just get back into the workforce for those women, those of us who had to leave for caregiving of our parents or caregiving of our children. And so that is super important for us, that we find ways, it's not always money is what I would say. Sometimes those program pieces are who we can introduce them to. We have people come and talk to us and say, who do you know that could help me with this program? Or my favorite is, I want to start a nonprofit, where I say, no, you don't. No, I'm sure there's already one out there doing what you want to do. Let's put these programs and these like-mindedness together, which saves resources. So when we start that campaign and we come visit your workplace and you have a chance for workplace contribution, we also usually have a campaign theme, right? Something that we can talk about all through the season. And so this year it's pretty easy. We just said, why say yes to the United Way? And I think you've done a great job of telling me why you said yes. Now pick on Ray and like, why'd you say yes? Because you got a lot to do. I mean, we know you're busy.
Well, it feels good.
Ah.
It feels good. It feels really good to find something that you believe in and that you can go in front of your employees and your friends and say, look, we're not asking you to, break the bank. We're asking everyone to give and everyone to care, because I actually believe that in order to get really involved with anything, you have to have passion for it. And I really believe in what you're doing. I see our own people get so excited when you had that sock drive and where you had a coat drive. You wanted just to have warm coats because it needed to be wintertime, and it was just kind of a little something you put together and put out there, and they really got involved, and everybody was bringing things in, and they were so excited about it and felt so good about it. And I think that's what sometimes they see people coming with their hand out,
Sure.
trying to get you. But it just is so great to do it because it's the right thing to do, and it feels good. And I don't know if that's too simple.
Oh, no, it's
but
perfect.
it's how I feel.
And it's perfect because don't we all want to feel good about our donor dollar? I mean, like it's hard. We work hard. Everybody works hard.
Yes.
And you want to feel good about it, and you want to feel like it's making a difference, no matter how small the amount. If it's,
That's right.
I've taken pennies from. As I said that recently, I'm that girl. Pennies, nickels, and dimes that make quarters, make dollars, and we're not afraid to take your 57 cents if that's what you got in your pocket, because the united part is real. It's all of us. Your dollars, my dollars,
They're
other
pooled
people
together.
Yeah, and so that's what makes it super special and different, I think, than any other. I
And
don't want to
your
make the
people-
nonprofits mad, but any
No.
of the others,
Right.
we're just a little
but
bit
your
different.
people work so hard.
So hard. Best
And they're
team.
so happy you walk in the building and everybody gives you a big hug and says, and I'm kind of like, but the truth is, it feels good. And to know that they're happy doing this type of work. And how do you walk away from that? How do you turn your head and say it doesn't matter? I don't believe people can, and I think that's why Paul and I accepted your invitation for us to be more involved. We're not leading anything. I said this the other night. We want to be soldiers to what you're doing. That's what we want to do. We want to be involved, and we want to help. And if everybody would have that attitude and come together and say, hey, we want to help too, then we've served our purpose.
Well, gosh.
So
The soldiers part my whole team is like, we will follow her anywhere. We want to be soldiers.
No.
But I love the way you put that, because some days it feels like a fight, right? Some days it feels like we're out there fighting for the common good, for the families and the kids and the hungry and the people that are challenged to make ends meet. And sometimes their voice gets lost in the other stuff that gets a little bit louder. And we're pretty honored and humbled to be that voice for people. And what you said is true, that we're bringing a difference. And I'll just say this quickly. You guys heard this recently we had our annual meeting recently, and Paul and Ray were there. But almost 76,000 lives touched by United Way dollars in our last
Unbelievable.
calendar year, and that's.
It's sad but true.
Well, I don't know where else you can do that though, right? That
Yeah.
like if you're having, I've always heard this. My mom used to always say, if you're having a bad day, go do something for somebody else that's having a worse day, right?
word.
And you'll feel better.
It always feels better to give than to receive.
Yeah, and so when you go home, as you've done that dollar paycheck, and you go, okay, at bed tonight, 76,000 lives are better because of my dollar a paycheck, and you just sleep good, right? I mean, it's what you said. It all goes
true.
back to it feels good, because no matter how small, you can make a difference, and that's what I love. If it's $5 for a duck in the Great Rubber Duck Race, where we see people talk about the nostalgia of the race, and I want to give to that, or if it's the hundreds of thousands that we raise through Dancing with the Stars,
Yes.
or the giving of Day of Caring, all of it is. our job is to try to find a place for everybody. What's comfortable for you to give, or what's comfortable for you to get involved. And I'll just say again, we're so eternally grateful. So this will not be the last you see of Paul and Ray White in the next year as we go
No.
through campaign 23-24. We're keeping our goal kind of flexible in that 1.5 million, but that's a lot of money to raise, and
We're going to get there.
we're thrilled that this, and I feel 100% confident that we will. But it's been a while since this United Way could kind of hang their hat on, we've met our goal, and we're always there to honor our commitments to our funded partners. And in addition to that, go out and build strong communities and do all the things that we've talked about today.
Well, we're happy to be here. We thank you for thinking of us, and we feel like it's something that we can really, really hang our hats on too. So we're in with you.
Great. Last thoughts before we get ready to wrap it up?
Just, when you see us coming, don't cross the street.
That's what they say about me. They're like, oh, there she is. Don't go too close to her. She'll reach out your hand.
But, we'll always have a smile on our face, and we really sincerely mean this. And we're looking forward to all the good people of Charleston and the area joining us.
Yeah, coming
and,
together
doing
for
something
the
really
right thing.
special right now.
Yeah, and so why is campaign chair is important? Because you guys know people we don't know, right? You have a connection to a community of people that I, as a new person and or just in a different place, might
Let
not
me
be able
say,
to touch.
we maybe know people who need to know you. How about that?
What a
Maybe there are
sweet
still
thing
some
to say.
people that need to know you and what you're doing and what all your people are doing. And I think that's really more what our responsibility is going
Well
to be,
said.
is to make sure they know.
Thank you. Anything else, Paul?
Nope, we're ready to go. We're fired up about the campaign. We have a big goal, but we hope to and plan to achieve it. So thanks in advance for allowing us for taking our phone calls and for answering the door when we knock.
Yeah, we'll be knocking. Again, our gratitude for your spending some time with us. If you're flipping channels and you landed here, we're so grateful that you took time to watch our show. I do want to say that our campaign is simply that, why I say yes to the United Way, and I could give you 1,000 reasons. We'll echo what Paul said. Our organizations are vetted, our funded partners are strong financially. More importantly than that, I can tell you where every dime that you give goes, and I think that's just really important. Right now, our United Way is as transparent as we can be, and we want you to know and feel comfortable about where your dollar goes. If you'd like to say yes to the United Way, you can call us anytime. Again, reach out through our website or social media. We're on Facebook a lot. Don't forget about Day of Caring coming up September the 20th. And if you would just have questions, I just want to say this. Sometimes people say, well, I might have given if you'd have asked, or if I'd had this one question answered. You will never hurt our feelings. If you have a question, call and reach out to us. Share your thoughts and feelings. Come see us. Let us show you what it looks like in a day of the life of the United Way. Let us show you the food pantry and the people that come to our door hungry that leave with some supplies and some snacks, and maybe you'll decide to say yes too. Until the next time, until our next guest, until we're able to serve you again, it is my pleasure to serve the United Way of Central West Virginia. I'm Margaret O'Neill. This is United for Good, and we'll see you again soon.